The Shark Deck.
I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. As I've done most of the week, I'm going to pick away at this wonderful interview. Marc Maron had Jim Gaffigan on his podcast. Really fantastic. If you haven't listened to it, I transcribed it. And I'm going to read to you, and I'll do some light voice acting here. Neither of these is meant to be an impression, but I just want to stop doing Mark said, Jim said, Mark said, Jim said. So I'll start with Jim Gaffigan, who said, you know, it's weird because, like, for comedians, we never see each other. And so, like, if you see some text and they don't see it and it goes down their thing, we interpret it like, I remember one time I texted Bill Burr and I was like, and I waited a week and I called him and I'm like, I can't believe he didn't call me back. And he goes, I did text you back. So I went back to the text. He did. Maron said, yeah, because we're babies, Jim. So yeah, so like Nate Bargatze, you probably met his dad. These are solid people, you know? Maron, his new special, you know, he's doing something. I've talked about it with a couple people that I've never heard somebody sort of isolate a specific type of Christianity as phenomenon and talk about it. Like, you know, I've heard Jews talk about it for black people, talk about being black or whatever. But his sort of take on his parents being the sort of new version of Born Again. Then he's like, there are generations of his siblings as they grow less disciplined. It was very nuanced. It was actually, you know, kind of a brilliant piece of comedy. Jim, yeah, and it was also a commentary on birth order. I'm the youngest of 6 kids, and my take was that my parents were completely mentally ill by the time I was a teenager because they'd been tortured by 5 teenagers, and they're like, what are you smoking? And I'm like, I'm 12, I'm just sitting here, but thanks for the idea. Rolling Stone talked to Tom Segura about his recent special and said, one joke that you cut is the Ted Cruz neighbor interaction one. I'm curious why you cut that. Did you not want to deal with the bullcrap that'll come from it? Segura said, I'll tell you exactly why I cut it. I look back on older specials, and in my opinion, they're all too long. I look back on stuff and I go, I should have cut that. When I was editing this thing, I wanted it to be as close to 60 minutes as I could make it and wanted to trim anything that feels filler-ish, feels dated, or doesn't feel evergreen. So I ended up cutting 3 bits and trimming 12 minutes from the special. The Cruise one really popped online, but it didn't feel evergreen, as much fun as it was to tell, and the pop was so great. Oh, that reminds me. Thanks to Cody, who had posted this on the Daily Comedy News podcast group. Cody, I apologize I didn't mention this earlier in the week. It's actually Monday as I'm recording this episode, so I didn't forget you all week. I just didn't publish my thank you to you all week. But Cody shared this clip. Cody, I'm typing to you right now. I wrote, hey, thanks. I'm pre-taping Saturday and mentioning you right now. You can find this exciting interaction on the Daily Comedy News podcast group. Cody, thanks for putting that under my radar. Where was I? Segura said, the Cruise one really popped online and didn't feel evergreen, as much fun as it was to tell, and the pop was so great. Rolling Stone said, can you walk me through that day? It's one thing to find out that Ted Cruz lives in your neighborhood. It's quite another to have this exchange with him. Segura said, to be fair, I do end the bit saying, it may or may not be Ted Cruz. I try to leave it up in the air. It was a surreal interaction. Somebody's literally going to start the conversation with, are you the comedian? And I go, yeah. And he goes, where do you think the term MFer comes from? And I was like, what? And he was like, that's your joke, right? And I was like, what? And he goes, that's your joke. I was watching your thing. Isn't that your joke? And I was like, what part of my joke? And he goes, effing your mom. I mean, I had no idea where this was going. And he goes, do you think people do that? How many people do you think do that? And I really did go, more than you want it to be. And he goes, yeah, but how many do you think? And I was like, how many people bang their moms? And he was like, yeah. And I go, I don't know, man. And then he went right into daughter bangers. I cleaned that up a little. Rolling Stone followed up and says, does this interaction take on a new dimension given the porn video that his Twitter account liked? It was incesty stepmom porn. Segura laughed and said, yeah, guy's a creep.
I'm Erica, 1/3 of the podcast Books and Betches, a comedy book podcast where we swear, spoil, and we talk about...
Whoa, you cannot say that in this.
What do you mean? That's our slogan. It's our gimmick.
How about we just give some examples of things we talk about?
Well, there's a lot of chaos.
I'm Kristen, and with me I have...
Whopper!
No.
A lot of sidebar conversations.
Are you denying the existence of chupacabras?
You know, Erica, yes, I am.
You can listen to new episodes of the Books and Betches podcast every Tuesday morning, anywhere you get your podcasts.
Bad Feeling Magazine caught up with Gianmarco Soresi. I'm a big fan of Gianmarco. He was selected one of Just for Laughs' new faces last year. He traffics in observational comedy with an edge, trained as a dancer. He has transitioned to comedy. You heard my interview with him last week. Gianmarco told Bad Feeling, you know, I was always a theater kid. I went to college for musical theater, and I do a lot of clubs in New York. That's where I kind of grew up as a comic, and you're at these stages that are just a couple bricks thrown together. You're elevated half an inch off the stage, and being at JFL and being on one of these massive theaters, suddenly all those dance classes that I took and all those thousands of dollars that amounted to nothing in my acting career, suddenly I said, oh, I finally have room to move. When I got on that stage at JFL, I thought, oh, this is where I can shine. This is where I can't be too much. And his plan was to test that theory this year. They asked him about incorporating crowd work, and he said, I think originally I leaned into it because, it's a weird time to be a comedian. You have to put out constant output, but you don't necessarily want to put out all of your material. And I think I saw 1 or 2 shows where I saw an audience member whisper a punchline to their friend. And I said, oh, that's it. No more posting my current material online. I'm just leaving the crowd work. At first it was hard because the reason I became a stand-up comic was because in conversations, I like to be the only one talking, but I found it just keeps me in the moment. I can get bored doing the same joke every time. When you're talking to someone, you feel alive. It could go south. I might say to someone, oh, so your parents are divorced? And they'll go, my dad killed my mom. Then I have to think, how do I make this funny? How do I stay on the edge? That keeps you feeling alive. That keeps you feeling scared in a good way. So I do enjoy mixing it in when I feel like I'm ready to take the risk. I had one recently I felt good about. I was talking about horses because my dad's a horse guy. I have a lot of theories about people who like horses a little too much, but this person ended up being their kind of a civilian horse detective. So whenever there's a missing person, they volunteer to do search and rescue with their horse. And ultimately, through talking to them, we found out they've solved 0 cases, and I'm pretty sure they just hamper any investigation. It was fun, the excitement of finding out they're a horse detective and then finding out that maybe they're the worst horse detective in the world, and maybe horse detectives aren't really needed that much. Mateo Lane is on tour, the Al Dente World Tour. He'll be at the Wynn in Las Vegas tonight. The new tour kicks off on the heels of his latest comedy special, Hair Plugs and Heartache. You'll find that on YouTube. Let's take a look at JFL for tonight, the last night of the festival. I'm going to miss this. 12:30, In Conversation with Please Don't Destroy. 1 o'clock, Faith and Comedy, In Conversation with Rami Youssef. Boy, we even have to make a tough early day decision. 7 o'clock, the Mae Martin Gala. 7 o'clock, Rami Youssef. All right, that'll make my early decision a little easier. Joe Dombrowski at 7, Anthony Jeselnik at 7, it just got a lot harder. Robbie Hoffman at 7, British at 7, A-Lock at 7, Melanie Bracewell's show Forget Me Not at 7, New Faces International Encore at 7:30, Tom Ballard, It Is I 7:30, Nimish Patel 7:30, Ali Makovsky 8:30, The Montreal Show at 8:30, with some locals, that's always a good thing to do. 9 o'clock, Josie Long's Reenactment. 9 o'clock, Double Threat, Shane Torius and Ariel Elias. 9:30, Trey Kennedy's Grow Up. 9:30, Rami Youssef. 9:30, Variety's 10 Comics to Watch Showcase. 9:30, Jeselnik. 9:30, Jonathan Van Ness. 9:45, New Faces of Comedy Canada Encore. 9:45, the Leslie Jones Gala. Hip Hop Karaoke Montreal JFL Edition at 10. Sydney Washington at 10. Late Night Down Under. I didn't know that one was there. That's cool. I like Aussie comics a lot. 10:30, Mark Ford presents Safari Time. Boy, so many shows tonight to see. James Davis Live, 10:30. Martin Urbano at midnight. Midnight Surprise at midnight. Zach Zucker presents Stamptown at midnight. Okay, if we were up there today. All right, so we've got that early decision. Let's go see Please Don't Destroy at 12:30. Then we'll drink all afternoon. 7 o'clock. Maybe Rami. Jeselnik. We've seen British already. Nimish Patel at 7:30. All right, let's see. Let's do Rami Youssef. I would like to see him do stand-up. I like him a lot. Jeselnik, love him, but we can see him on Netflix, so that's why I'm making that choice. That'll take us to about 9 o'clock. I think you got to do Variety's 10 Comics to Watch Showcase if you're following my lead here. You go there to see the next wave. So we'll do that at 9:30, and then that'll walk us up to the late shows. But boy, I'm going to miss Late Night Down Under. Again, so many tough decisions at Just for Laughs. And for something different, let's do Martin Urbano for the midnight show. How's that sound? That'll put a wrap on this festival. The next one out of Just for Laughs is Toronto. That's September 21st through the 30th. I've done that festival. That's a good one. Maybe this year I'll do that one since I wasn't able to do Montreal. Andrew Schultz, Ronnie Chang, Leslie Jones, The Office Ladies, Jonathan Van Ness, Marlon Wayans, Nicole Byer, and Sam Morrell have already been announced. For that festival, there's a lot of local smaller shows. And I spend a lot of time in the bars when I do that one. Also announced for Toronto, Neil Brennan, Michelle Wolf, Ron Funches, Tom Papa, Drew Lynch, Jay Jordan. Yeah, plenty going on. All right, we'll dive into Toronto at a later date. And that is your comedy news for today. Follow the show for free on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. If you want to support the show, go on YouTube. Find Daily Comedy News, hit subscribe. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. You don't have to listen there. You're already listening here, and I appreciate it. But do me a favor, smash the subscribe button so I can get to 1,000 followers and monetize the show over on YouTube. See you tomorrow.
Hi, I'm Mark Francis and host of a new podcast, The Messy Effect. Join us as we take you into the exciting new world of Argentine soccer phenomenon Lionel Messi and his new life at Inter Miami. Will bring you into the glitz, the glamour, the star-studded events, along with the exciting journey to a new world of US soccer and international football with news and stories 3 times a week. Come along for the ride as Messi, Miami, and Major League Soccer experience the journey of a lifetime. Get the Messi effect wherever you get your podcasts.